Hello and welcome to the new normal, staying healthy. My name is Natalie. Let's start by taking a look at what we're going to cover today in this session. We're going to review the definition of the new normal. We're going to look at the steps to reset and incorporate some healthy changes into our lives during this really difficult time that we are living in. COVID-19 has affected so many of us. It's all of us. It's affected all of us. And I think that understanding the process of how to make successful change and to identify a healthy habit that we want to focus on. And we're also going to cover some strategies and some awareness around developing healthy habits ongoingly so that we can make changes that last longer than a few days or a few weeks, healthy changes that we can invite into our routines and our life that will be around for a long, long time, making us feeling healthier.
We're so pleased to offer you this free wellness services event, and we really welcome your feedback. Following the workshop today, if you could kindly take a moment to complete a brief survey, taking a picture of the QR code that you see here on your screen from your mobile device, or by clicking on the link in the description below.
So what is the new normal? Wikipedia's definition is a new normal is a state to which an economy, society, etc. settles following a crisis, when this differs from the situation that prevailed prior to the start of the crisis. Once the COVID-19 danger recedes, we may see a new normal. We may live life slightly different than we did before the pandemic hit. And this will change some of the key ways that we live our life. We may live healthier. We may have the cleanest hands we've ever seen. Our diets might have changed, our lifestyles, the way we socialize, tourism for sure, how we travel, where we travel, how often. All of these things I think will look a little different for us, or we will look at them a little bit differently once we come out of these lockdowns and restrictions after this pandemic. I wanted to start off by just thinking about the things that we're grateful for. I know that the last few years, I'm pre-recording this, February 2022, have been absolutely unbelievable in many ways, scary, overwhelming. We miss our friends, we miss our families, we miss our freedom. But I wonder if we can just take a moment before we get to the next slide and recognize that although it's been a rough time, there are still many things that we are incredibly grateful for. And I know for me personally, it's, those simple things that really aren't all that simple. Our health, a roof over our heads, our kids being safe, our loved ones being okay, the fact that we have survived this global pandemic, and maybe some things that have come out of it that have changed us forever. I know that being more mindful and being more present in my own life and in my family's life is something that I hope that I can continue to prioritize as we move out of the restrictions. The fact that we have food to eat and supports around us, our jobs, these types of things, whatever that means for you. I invite you to take a moment here and just really think about the things that you're grateful for. Getting back on track. So, cooking, baking, and eating related to the holidays and stress and isolation and restriction. I know that there was a whole sourdough fad that was happening. We were exchanging recipes through Zoom, my girlfriends and I, and family members, really trying to look at the opportunity to cook healthier meals and have dinners together. There's a whole lot of lack of overall movement and spontaneity during the last few years. It's impossible and actually wasn't allowed to really plan things last minute. And also our overall movement, which is not natural for us as humans. We're not meant to be sitting. We're not meant to be still. We're not meant to not be in contact with other people, socializing, communicating. So that has been probably the biggest struggle for most of us, including myself. Our routines were stopped. All the things, many of the things that we loved so much. For me, one of my biggest joys was my yoga community and the ability to go to a space, a studio, and be with like-minded people and see friends and move my body and do something for myself. Stopped, and actually, sadly, the studio that I used to go to went out of business because of COVID. So some of the things that we really looked forward to in our routines, whatever that may be for you, stopped and might never look the same again. We are definitely have been watching TV, movies, Netflix, a lot more screen time. We've been in and out of restrictions and lockdowns. There's been a lot of staying inside, so the lack of fresh air. We live in Canada here, so the vitamin D has been restricted, which really affects our moods. And we have seen an increase in mental health struggles and issues, and probably safe to say a mental health crisis. So these are some of the things that I just wanted to acknowledge that it's been hard, and acknowledge that this is happened to all of us around the world. In some ways, it brings us together because of that. But nonetheless, it has been it's been really difficult. So when we look at where we want to go from here, and we look at what are the things that we want to start prioritizing in our lives in the new normal, and ways that we can stay healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever that might look like for you, we need to start thinking about what makes us happy. Often we are doing things and prioritizing around what makes everybody else happy around us. But if we could just think about ourselves during this session and think about one thing that we want to incorporate or change in our lives to get healthy again, or to continue to be healthy during times that are difficult, let's start about focusing in on our own personal happiness. And to take a moment to acknowledge that your needs matter. A lot of us are looking after others, our children, our aging parents, maybe someone that's not well. We're looking after our duties, where that's domestically around our home, or if we're trying to work from home and educate our children, as well as work full-time jobs. There's a lot going on. Self-care and wellness has never been more important. We must look after ourselves. Our hospitals are backed up. Access to our physicians don't look the same. I haven't had an appointment with my doctor in 2 years that hasn't been over the phone. So once your own needs are met, you are also that much more available and capable of caring for other people. And it's about inserting that self-care, taking those times to get your own needs met, and valuing yourself, respecting the fact that you have needs as well, will make you much more available to others. And staying healthy and making changes is going to look different for every single one of us. This might look like doing some healing. This might look like wanting to have more steps in your day, or just moving more, maybe standing up and trying to work standing for 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day instead of sitting all the time. This might look like really taking a look at how we're feeling about things and maybe having some tough conversations, or just having a healthy conversation with somebody that you just haven't been able to prioritize because you're so busy caring for other people. And sometimes, staying healthy or getting healthy again means transforming, changing the way you look, or changing the way you feel, or changing the way you think, or all of the above. Certainly for me, I'm really trying to work on loving kindness and self-love and compassion for myself. I know that I can give a lot of love, and I can share a lot of love and kindness and compassion and grace all day long to the people in my life, people I love, and even to strangers. But sometimes I find it difficult to show that to myself, to prioritize myself. And I say that as a wellness coordinator, as a holistic life coach. I say that to you. I say that to you as a certified yoga teacher and a certified meditation teacher. I find it hard to find my own time to do those things because I'm sharing those things, which are my passion, to others almost every day, whether it's at home or through my work. And prioritizing myself, taking my own 10 to 20 minutes a day to do what I love doesn't always happen. So it's about making changes in the way I navigate my day to be sure that I actually put something for myself into my calendar to be sure that I can prioritize it. So those are just some things for us to think about when we look at trying to make changes, or where to even start with all of this. It's kind of hard to find a place even to start when you're feeling so inundated and overwhelmed with life. But you have to have, and I shouldn't say it in a way that I'm telling you what to do, but it generally works better when you have the true desire to change. Not because your doctor's telling you to, not because your partner's telling you to, not because your mother's told you you've put on a little weight over COVID, not those things. It's about really looking at how you are feeling and how you're thinking and how you're sleeping and how you are showing up in life, and looking at the things that just don't feel good and the things that constantly happen over and over again. And you're like, oh, this drives me crazy. Why do I do this to myself? How can it be 4 o'clock and I'm still in my pajamas and I haven't gone for a walk yet today, right? The secret to change and enhancing your wellness is to not focus your energy on fighting the old routine, but really saying to yourself, I have to make this change. I want to make this change. I don't want to keep doing the same things I was doing before. So instead of focusing on everything that isn't working, you want to put your energy towards how you want to make it work and how you want to feel. And when you use your energy to build or grow something new, it starts to come to life. So, sometimes we start by just saying it out loud and admitting it, and then perhaps we write it down. And then we're going to go through some of the steps that I feel can be really helpful and beneficial, and steps that I think will work. Resetting and stepping forward. So I always find that February is a month where I have to reset. Typically February is a hard month for me. It's interesting that I am recording this in February, so I need to practice what I preach. I feel like, I don't know, somehow getting through the holidays, and then January kind of hits, and I start thinking about all the things that I want to do. And this year being in COVID, there wasn't a lot that I could really plan. So I felt like I was in a little bit of a funk, and so I really needed to focus on my reset, and I really needed to take some steps in the right direction to do and focus on the things that I could change and the things that I could make happen. Nothing about this very moment prevents you from making change or progress. And, it's important to remember that even though we're in this very strange time, it's still okay to focus on yourself, and it's the perfect time to start making new routines and prioritizing yourself. And that before we move on in this workshop, I just want to remind you that it doesn't have to be a massive change. It doesn't have to be anything huge. It can just be one little step in the right direction. So there's a reason you've come to this session today. There's a reason why you've clicked on it. And if you're still here with me listening, then I think that you're probably somewhat invested, ready for more information, wanting to make a change, looking at ways that you can be reminded on ways of being healthy. And so let's take a moment here and think about, what habit do you want to change? Or what's one thing you want to start or begin again? For me, it was something I needed to begin again, something that brought me a lot of joy. It was good for my health. It was good for my mind. It was good for my body. It was good for my soul. And because of COVID, I stopped doing it, and I know that it's available again. And so that is my healthy habit that I am choosing. And so I am choosing to practice yoga in a studio, in a community again, because that is what helps me be my best. And helps me be healthy, and it brings me joy. So if you include a new habit or change in your routine, what else in your life would change? That's the really cool part, is that once you start making changes to make yourself feel better and to stay healthy, you get more energy. People start to notice it. You're not as anxious. You start sleeping better. You may shed a few pounds. Your skin may brighten up. You might have the energy to laugh and have fun and be more open to spending time with other people. And so when we start doing things to make ourselves healthy and to prioritize ourselves, it's amazing how it snowballs. And other things start to open up. And space and other places in our lives start to appear. And with little steps, we start paving new paths, right? It sounds a little corny, but it's true. When we start doing new things, and we start going in the direction that feels good to us and feels healthy, we don't stay stuck. Start taking steps, going new places, meeting new people, experiencing new things. So whenever I do workshops on habit changes or trying to identify areas in our life that we want to work on, I always get people and participants to do this activity. And what I'd like for you to do is, I would like you to find a piece of paper, or even open up the notes on your phone, or if you're on your laptop. I want you to take a moment and pause here. And I want you to think of, for the sake of this workshop today, let's think of 2 things that you constantly say you should do. I really should drink more water. I really should try to walk every day. I really should try to call my mom every week. I really should read that book that I've put aside for 2 years. I should take that course. I should stop eating snacks at night. Whatever it is, these are just examples. I want you to take a moment, think about your I shoulds that you're saying to yourself and write them down. And now, I'd like for you to look at your I shoulds, and I challenge you to look at one of them and put an I will in front of it. I will drink more water. I will read once a week. What is your healthy habit going to be? What is your staying healthy, getting out of a rut? What's it going to be? Write it down. We know that if we write it down, it holds more meaning. It's something we can go back to. It gives us an anchor when we write something down. So I will practice yoga once a week at my community studio. I have it written down. I have started to do it. I was reluctant. It felt strange. It really did. But I will do it. I did do it, and I will continue to do it. So write down your I will. And then we're going to talk a little bit about like getting unstuck and self-sabotage and all that good stuff. So another part of changing your habit is getting unstuck. And you know, it was difficult for many people I know, including myself, to make change because when we were in these restrictions or lockdowns or working from home, suddenly our worlds got really, really small, right? Our lives got small. And then I felt as though automatically things were just happening like Groundhog Day. Wake up, everything was the same. We were in survival mode. And so you get stuck. It gets ingrained. It becomes habit, you know? And so you got to think about ways that you can get unstuck and ways that you're not going to say, I'll do it in the summer. I'll do it when the weather is better. To really sort of think about ways and things that you're going to need to do to get prepared to get unstuck. It takes work, right? It takes work. We just don't want to be in like autopilot and just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Unless it's working for you. I mean, if it's great, then that's one thing. But if you're feeling stuck and you really want to make change, it's going to take some planning, right? So a global pandemic makes it so much more difficult to get unstuck due to the challenges and isolation and unpredictability. I am absolutely acknowledging these things. I am joining you in those thoughts, but I can tell you it's not impossible. And I think we're on our way out of these restrictions. And so this is a perfect time for us to all start thinking about what it is that we want to change and add into our routines. This is also something that I love to offer out, and it's a great thing to think about as you're trying to sort of switch the way you're thinking and get motivated and get inspired. Each year I don't do a New Year's resolution. What I like to do is I like to pick a word that is inspirational to me. And then I have that word written down. If I can find it in a little sign, if I can put it on my computer or my phone as a screensaver, I do that. And that is usually a part of my self-care goals, my staying healthy, my wellness goal. So I've given you a few examples here of some beautiful words: intention, simplicity, joy, truth, so on and so forth. If you go on Pinterest, there are many posts that you can see around picking your word of the year. And so maybe that's something you'd like to do. And then also you want to sort of reflect and visualize and review and refine. So reflect on what's happened, visualize where you want to go, review what you're doing, and then refine your routine. You can look back on journals. You can start a new journal, right? You can put down your I will. You pick your word. I love, 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 love to do vision boards. We actually offer a pre-recorded vision board session here at Surrey Place. So if you'd like to take a look, you can, there's a pre-recorded session, but then there's also usually once a month or every other month, a live vision board workshop, which I actually also happen to facilitate. So if that's something that interests you, I encourage you to take a look there. It's wonderful to create something so that you can visualize and focus on it and set goals and dreams. It's so important for us to have things to work towards because it's all about growth, right? We don't want to stay the same. We want to grow. We want to experience. And then as we're setting in stone this new I will, this new goal, this new thing that we want to work towards, it's really great if you can just maybe take a few minutes, maybe at the end of this session, and sit for a moment with eyes closed and take a deep breath and really visualize what this new routine or this new healthy habit or this new goal, how's it going to feel? How's it going to feel to actually achieve it, have it in your life? What's it going to look like? Just sort of visualize it. Okay, so let's talk about the plan. We gotta have a plan. You gotta have a plan. If we don't make a plan and we don't really figure out how we're going to navigate this new routine, this new habit, this new insertion of this awesomeness for 20 minutes that we're going to plan on doing, then we attend this workshop, we walk away, and nothing happens. And I don't want that to happen. I want you to be able to walk away from this workshop and feel inspired and motivated to do something for yourself that is going to help you stay healthy in these times and moving forward. So one of the most essential parts of making a habit change is not the habit, but how we do it. The planning is so important. And it's how we make the habit change happen. Because it's a change. It's a change in behavior. It's a change in routine. It's a change, for me, every time I make a change, it also changes everybody else in my household. And some people don't want you to change. That's the other part. As I find as a caregiver, a partner, a mom, a sister, a friend, a neighbor, I have a lot of people that depend on me and are expecting me to show up at certain times in certain ways in their lives. And when I find that when I start to change or when I start to have boundaries and push back and say, you know what, I'm really sorry, I can't do that because I'm walking every Monday and Wednesday morning from 7 to 8. So you're going to have to get yourself to school. It's just an example. But I have tried that and it's not worked because they need me here in the morning, right? My first responsibility is my children. And those are my own values. But if my children are not okay, I really can't focus on anything else. And that's just me. So I needed to maybe push that back from 8:30 to 9:30. And then I needed to make sure that that didn't interrupt with work. And then I needed to maybe add on an extra half an hour on the end of my work day as well. So you have to have a plan or it's just going to be like, oh, it's too much work. Forget it's not going to work, right? It's like, I always think about it as like baking. I can't make cookies if I don't have the stuff. So what are the ingredients I need to make the cookies? What are the things in my day, in my life, in my routine that I need to make it possible to show up for my goal to show up for my new healthy habit, as well as to be successful. It takes planning. So I just wanted to share this visual with you because I actually had this saved for the longest time on my phone, and I really love it as a reminder of staying focused. So let's go through this together. We want to focus when we're trying to stay healthy or make new routines or stay on track. We want to focus on one habit at a time. If we try to make change in too many big ways, it really just causes us not to be successful. It's too much. It's too much. And we want to take it slowly. We can't expect big changes or even little changes to happen quickly. We can set out to make it, to begin the process, but it's important to give it time and be realistic about that. And if you can, you want to do some aspect of this healthy living or this wellness in your life on a daily basis. So that also means that suppose I want to walk Monday and Wednesday mornings with my girlfriend from 8:30 to 9:30. Even though I'm not walking 7 days a week, there are things I'm probably needing to do and focus on the other days that I'm not walking. I need to be reminding people, remember, tomorrow I'm not going to be here in the morning, or maybe I need to make sure, bags are packed and lunch money's organized, or those types of things are done so that I can be successful on the days that I need to not be home in the morning, right? And so it's about managing your time. It's about thinking about it on a daily basis. It's about prioritizing it even on the days and the times that you're not actively engaged in that activity. You want to be sure that you are always thinking and planning on a daily basis on ways that you can reach your goals. It's really great if you can track it in some way. We're doing this wonderful get moving activity through work, through a participation app, and it tracks your steps. I love it. I love to walk and then be like, oh, look, 11,000 steps. And there's all sorts of free apps that you can use and ways to do it. Some people like to just put it in a day timer. Some people like to put it on a calendar. However you like to keep track of things or visually see your progress, I encourage you to do that. We talk a lot about anchors and anchoring your new habit. And this is a really powerful part of forming a new habit. I like to talk about anchors as something that I have in and around me all the time to remind me of where I'm going. So when I set an intention, or if I'm trying to get myself to yoga, I have something in my space, which is happening right now, which is a little yoga man, and he is around me at my desk, in my workspace, up in a little space off of my bedroom, reminding me always to prioritize myself and look after myself. My word that I chose is my anchor. My I will written down, that's my anchor. I look at my word, I look at my I will, I look at my journal, I look at my steps on my phone, I look at my yoga man and remember how important it is for me to look after my body and to breathe. These are my anchors. So these are just my examples. I just really wanted you to be able to understand what I meant by an anchor. And you got to be accountable. So it's good to tell somebody, right? It's good to tell someone you trust and someone who's going to motivate you and someone to help you get over that hump if you're having a really bad week. You know, I'm lucky enough to have a partner who really, really supports my wellness, and he'll give me that little nudge when I need to. He'll also say, like, good for you for going and doing that. I know that almost didn't happen today. I'm really proud of you for getting your steps, or do you want to come for a walk with me, or, you know, whatever the case may be. I'm very lucky to have somebody who values health and wellness be so close to me and help me look after myself, and gives me the space and time to get away from the house long enough to be able to take care of myself. You got to reward yourself, right? But you don't want it to be like, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes and then I'm going to eat a pie, because then it's not going to work, right? But it is nice to maybe, you know, walk every morning, and then, you know, you're feeling like your feet are a little sore or whatever, and then you try to get away for 10 minutes and have a bubble bath. These are just examples, but you have to reward yourself. There has to be joy, right? There has to be something that, like any other good thing, there has to be reinforcement. Because if you're doing something and there's no anchor, and it's hard and you hate it, and you don't have anyone to help you be accountable, and you're not rewarding yourself, what are the chances that you think that it's going to be successful? It's not, right? And last but not least, you got to remove those obstacles. Many of us find this part the most difficult. If you're joining me here today as a parent with a child with special needs, there are so many obstacles in your life and in your day, and I am very sensitive to making sure that I acknowledge those things for you. If you are here as a caregiver or a family member or a partner or a sibling, it can sometimes be really difficult, because sometimes things come up and there's obstacles that are not planned, and things can be unpredictable, and it gets you off track, right? So this is life. There's nothing you can do. Always start over the next day. I always tell people, if you have a day or a week, if you're not feeling well and then you get off track, it's okay. It's not the end. It's not the end. You just start again the next day. It's not the end. Don't give up, right? If you're trying to eat well and you go over to your neighbor's, mine is an amazing cook, and you eat 3 chocolate chip cookies because they're so delicious and you can't stop eating them, it's okay. Just start again the next day. Drink as much water as you can. Put in some extra steps. Right? Yeah, just remove those obstacles. Making sure that you're prepared, making sure that there aren't unnecessary things in the way. They're going to hold you back from being your best self. So that's a lot. And the way we do that is that we break it down. So we break your habit change into small chunks. So we're going to take baby steps. We're going to start off small, we're going to give it enough time, and we're going to have realistic expectations, right? Don't overwhelm yourself. It's like a big race, right? If the gun goes off and you start your run and you're going like giving it everything high speed, you might not make it to the end, right? Because you're just too tired. You started out too strong. So really just like give yourself some grace. Give yourself some grace. Look what we've been through. And you made it through. Like, we have all made it through this. We can do hard things, right? But give yourself some grace. Be realistic, right? Don't set yourself up for failure. Even if it's, I don't really like to talk about diets or weights. I feel like there's just so much pressure on how we look and our weight and these types of things these days. But what I will say is that if your physical health is something that you really want to focus on, then just be really realistic about what that means, right? First, you're going to do this. Then you're going to do this. First, you're going to do this, then you're going to do this. Yep. And all of you who may have a child with special needs or autism, right? We're always telling clinicians, as a clinician working with our families, we're always telling families, first then, not too much, right? Step by step, process it, giving time. This is the same with any kinds of big changes that we make. A lot of it is mindset. So if you go into it prepared and knowing that it is something that's going to take some hard work, it's something that's not always going to be easy. Some days are going to feel fabulous and other days are going to be like, oh, I can't do this. It's just not working. It's too hard, right? Change doesn't have to be complicated, and it is possible. And it starts with the right mindset. That's why I really, really love the idea of picking the word. I really love the idea of having something visual that you can visualize and focus on. Change happens when you look at your behavior and you find that spark or that desire to do it differently, to do it better, to feel better, to think better, to sleep better. It's like a spark, right? And then you give it a little bit more energy and it starts to just fester and grow. You're going to start small. It's very, very common and very natural to feel scared. And there's lots of things to fear around change. Change is scary. It's uncomfortable. It's unfamiliar. So if you're setting a goal or you're looking at setting a healthy habit of something you've never done before or ever accomplished, it's going to feel extra scary, right? It's unknown. Thoughts and feelings of fear when we think of change are completely normal. We convince ourselves that change is going to be difficult or even impossible. Yes, sometimes we do that. And sometimes people in our lives make it difficult and impossible. Sometimes people in our lives don't want us to change because then that makes them uncomfortable or that puts more on them, right? Yeah, a few years ago, I made some very, very huge necessary changes in my life around my health and my wellness. And I expected everybody to be supportive and happy for me. And you know what? That's not what happened. Some people were angry. Some people didn't like the change. Some people were not supportive, and some people were hurtful, right? Because when we change, everything around us changes. And I think that sort of is the root of the fear that we start to feel. But when we have this mindset and we are really discouraging ourselves, then what happens is that's where our energy is going. And so that's what the result is. It makes sense. So then we start to sabotage. We sabotage for two reasons. One is because we're afraid to change, and one is because we're afraid of what people will think if we change. So one is failure, and one is feeling not accepted, or the other end of the change is too much work. So try to avoid self-sabotaging. It usually, they usually say it happens on day 5. That we start thinking, okay, we've done this for 5 days. Well, you know what? It's not really working, so forget about it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go. You start making all these excuses and reasons why you're not going to be successful. Usually it's fear, right? It's fear. And we don't know what to expect or how the change is going to impact our lives. And so, we may be really plugging along quite nicely in this new normal, but we're not really sure what it's going to look like. And what if I actually do accomplish this? Well, then what? Right? And it's really important that we acknowledge this because there's going to be a lot of change, and there has been a lot of change. So it's like, how are we going to show up in this new normal and be our best selves? Because everything is so unknown. And sometimes it's hard for us even to picture it right now, right? But try not to derail yourself. Just start small, do your best, baby steps, and try and think of times in the past when you were doing well or working towards something, and the things you did to sabotage that. And then it's just about being aware, right? I'm not going to do that this time. I know that I'm inclined to do really well and go hard for the first 5 days of a new healthy habit. And then I know what I always do. On day 6 or day 7, I make these excuses why I can't go, or why I don't want to do it, or why it's not working. And then I have a really bad day, and then I think that's the end. So maybe think about what you've done in the past so that you can get that obstacle out of the way, so that you can be successful. So here we are, we're back at the anchor, and we've already talked a little bit about this, but I just wanted to go over it a little bit more. And I encourage you to do this. I encourage you to find something that is meaningful to you. And I would like for you, if you can, to select something that you can see. And that something can be anything. I've showed my yoga man. Last year I had a necklace similar to the one I'm wearing today, which was almost like mala beads, and I had that on me or around me when I was needing to be anchored. I have had clients or people I've worked with who do a really good sticky note, and they have that on their bathroom mirror, right, or on the inside of their day timer. I know a lot of people still don't use day timers anymore because we're on our calendars, on our electronics. But if you have a journal or a book or something, it's good to have something there that you can open up. And when you look at it, it sparks that emotion, our why, the reason why we're doing the things that we're doing, and focusing on our well-being and our wellness, and encouraging ourselves and reminding ourselves that everything's going to be okay, and this new normal is going to be all right, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to get our steps in, and we're going to stop eating bags of chips. whatever it is that you're working on. And SMART goals can really help, right? So when we're looking at setting realistic goals.
Have you ever made a goal only to struggle to actually achieve it? Not all goals are created equally, so today we are going to cover one of the most effective techniques for crafting excellent goals. Hi, I'm Katie from the Northampton Community College Learning Center. Our mission here is to promote independent learning and to help students reach their full academic potential. Today, we are going to explain the concept of SMART goals. This is a proven method of goal setting that you can use in all facets of your life. So, effective goal setting is SMART, which means specific, measurable, action-based, realistic, and time-bound. SMART goals will help you focus your energy instead of letting your goals get lost. So, the S stands for specific. So your goal should be clearly defined rather than vague, so you know exactly what result you're trying to accomplish and achieve. Next is measurable. So it's important to have measurable goals so that you can track your progress and to stay motivated in the process. Next is action-based. So it's important for you to have a plan for the action that you will take in order to accomplish the goal. This will let you know what exactly you have to do in order to achieve it. Next is realistic. So let's be honest, your goal also needs to be realistic and achievable to be successful. In other words, it should stretch your abilities, but still remain possible and achievable. And last but not least, it should be time-bound. So every goal needs a target date so that you can have a clear deadline to focus and something to work towards. Now, remember to track your progress and to make adjustments to your goals if necessary. Now, it is your turn. Think of an area in your life that you'd like to improve on and use the SMART goal technique to formulate your goal. Now, if you found this video helpful, have you ever made a goal only to struggle to actually achieve it? Not all goals are created equally, so today we're going to cover one of the most effective techniques for crafting excellent goals. Hi, I'm Katie from the Northampton Community College Learning Center. Our mission here is to promote independent learning and to help students reach their full academic potential. Today, we are going to explain the concept of SMART goals. This is a proven method of goal setting that you can use in all facets of your life. So, effective goal setting is SMART, which means specific, measurable, action-based, realistic, and time-bound. SMART goals will help you focus your energy instead of letting your goals get lost. So, the S stands for specific. So your goal should be clearly defined rather than vague, so you know exactly what result you're trying to accomplish and achieve. Next is measurable. So it's important to have measurable goals so that you can track your progress and to stay motivated in the process. Next is action-based. So it's important for you to have a plan for the action that you will take in order to accomplish the goal. This will let you know what exactly you have to do in order to achieve it. Next is realistic. So let's be honest, your goal also needs to be realistic and achievable to be successful. In other words, it should stretch your abilities, but still remain possible and achievable. And lastly, last but not least, it should be time-bound. So every goal needs a target date so that you can have a clear deadline to focus and something to work towards. Now, remember to track your progress and to make adjustments to your goals if necessary. Now, it is your turn. Think of an area in your life that you'd like to improve on and use the SMART goal technique to formulate your goal. Now, if you found this video helpful, please remember to give us a like and subscribe so you can see more helpful videos in the future.
There's this lovely SMART goals formula that I also thought it would be beneficial for us to talk about while we're here together. And so it is SMART. And so what that stands for is to be specific about what you want to work on, measurable, there's a way that you can see your progress, achievable, we've talked about that, be realistic, set something that you know that you'll be able to realistically accomplish, right? R, realistic, achievable, realistic, those kind of go hand in hand in my brain. And T is for timely, so that you're giving yourself enough time. There's always a amount of time wrapped around setting goals. So be sure that you're giving yourself enough time to achieve them. And then also setting a time period really helps you have a clear beginning and end, right? So that you can also then be measuring your progress. So SMART goals is something that is really handy. We use it a lot in our work as professionals. I use it a lot in life coaching. There's lots of information on the internet about it, and I do think that it has many, many benefits when you're looking at carving out new routines and habits and those types of things. I want to remind you that it takes time, right? It takes time. The bigger the change, the bigger a time it takes to adjust or to achieve it. When we make a big change in our life, it takes us a long time to settle in. Let's look at COVID, right? Let's look at that, for example. These were some huge changes we had to make. 2 years later, we're still trying to figure it out, still trying to come to terms with it. It takes a long time to get used to and to accept and to make space in our lives for big changes. So please, please, please don't set yourself up for failure by being too hard on yourself. And it's really, really important that you can be patient with yourself and be kind to yourself. There are going to be days where it's just not going to go easy. There's, those days where you just want to get back into bed and pull the blankets up over your head and be like, I give up. I can't do it. That is all a part of life. Know that those days are going to happen. We need those days. It's part of life. And then once you integrate these healthy habits into your life, you will start to see the benefits and possibilities. And I always remind people that when these habits start to become part of your new you and your new routine, it opens up space, it opens up avenues and pathways for other positive things. I talked a little bit about visualization. It's something that I practice. It works for me. I know that professional athletes use this a lot. My husband does some coaching with elite athletes. I've seen documentaries and things where this visualization piece can be so powerful. And I wanted to share this with you because if you can set your I will, and then you get an idea of what you need to do to make it possible, and if you can take time to close your eyes or be quiet with yourself and really use your senses to visualize what that's going to look like or smell like or sound like or feel like in your body, there's some beautiful things that come out of that, right? When you visualize it and you write it down and you set a goal, you can make it happen. So it's something I feel like is underrated, something that we have that's just so natural, to be able to connect with our breath and visualize something and sort of come inwards into our body. There's so much going on outside of our bodies, but if we had the opportunity to come inward and really visualize and feel the things that are important to us, or remember feeling a certain way, many of us are probably going to set some new I wills or our healthy habits to something that we used to do and that we had to stop doing because of COVID. But the new normal and the new slow opening up of things and the nice weather around the corner gives us hope and the opportunity to start visualizing and thinking again about wanting to feel the way we used to feel and getting back to that place. So it doesn't have to be something new. It can be something that we used to do that felt good that we want to do again. That's what I'm finding that a lot of people want to do. They want to go back to doing something that made them feel joyful, that brought them joy, that sparked a feeling of emotion of happiness or well-being. That's what many people want to do. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this presentation has sparked something. I hope that this workshop has given you hope, made you realize how strong you are, made you feel inspired to do something kind for yourself, show yourself some self-love, some self-compassion, to get your running shoes out and start walking with a friend. Whatever it means to stay healthy for you, I hope that this has been, I'm really hoping that this has been helpful for you. So these are some of the references that I used to write this presentation.
Wellness Services at Surrey Place offers over 100 in-person and live virtual events each month. To register, please visit mysurreyplace.ca. View our calendar of events and go ahead and create an account for yourself so that you can register for the free events that are of interest for you. We also offer many additional recorded events and hundreds of resources that may be of interest to you. Recorded events and resources are also available to view for free at a time most convenient for you at surreyplace.ca/resources. We invite you to join the Family Connections group by visiting the Facebook group on your screen here. The link can also be found below in the description. We really hope that you enjoyed this free wellness event. Please take a moment to complete a brief survey by taking a picture of the QR code that you see here on your screen with your mobile device, or by clicking the link in the description below. Thank you so much. Have a great day.